Hey, welcome back, my friends. We are back with the Death Guard. Yeah, I figured I would actually come out with some interesting facts first, and I was like, I don't know how do I want to do this, but I really want to just come out honest with this card because this card is so personal to me. Since I first came out with teaching this card, it has been really honest and really telling when I was doing some live readings with you guys. It's transformational. It's endings. It's rebirth. It's not literal death. It really isn't. A lot of tarot readers know that, which is awesome. It's symbolic change. Archetype of transition, I guess a good way to put it. I love that you guys are here. I love that you're hanging out. If you haven't been with me before, think about becoming a subscriber or even a member. Check out all my social media or become a fan. It's just like I love when you guys hang out and we learn together, and I keep learning. This is not one of those things I'm like I know everything. And you guys can even like say, hey, what about, and if I don't know, I go look it up. I try to figure it out. As I do that, I do that through my new channels, my new social media, and all of this stuff that I look at as this is the card I started that with. That's why I look at we look at Death card. We look at this energy. It's not an end, but a passage, and it leads us into this transmutation. It clears space for that new energy, right? We must start something or even end something to begin something new. As I used to teach at the college, right? And this is why I'm opening up with this. It's really it looks at like, oh, he's unstoppable. Like I was teaching at the college doing all this other stuff, and I found this channel like kind of like is like a chance to kind of explore more my own spirituality. And when the death card kept showing up, I'm like, what is this in my own readings? So I'm like, what? And it walks in real calmly in the readings. It doesn't show up in any chaotic parts of the readings. I'm like, that's interesting. It's life force. It really comes in with that white rose on here, on that, like if you look up in the flag here, you'll see that is secrecy. It's true rebirth. It happens in silence first. And what happens is that white horse is here too. Even at front here, you'll see this, a king is fallen right ahead of it. There's a child wide open. That's the child innocence. So what happens at this card is it's like you have to come at this with childlike wonder. The bishop is blessing, saying, you know, hey, it's gonna bless the bridge for death. It's saying, hey, go ahead, just keep going. No one escapes this, but everyone responds to it differently, saying, I give up, just take me. Other people are in awe, and people accept it, saying this is how it is. How do you look at it when you see this card? Does it give you worry? Does it give you care? And as this is the second time through, and I was talking about this, are you going to continue the journey with me, right? They're up ahead, and you can actually see in the water, and we look through this. There's a floating vessel. It's a passage of the soul. And as it's coming through here in the water, and you have the people on the ground, and you have the boat, and there's hidden details. It's the hum current. It's some people call it it's the echo of Charon or the river Styx. It's the soul never ceases. We always keep moving. That's what has been taught to me throughout this, because you have this boat here in its transition. It's the boat. It's the vessel of transition. And that's what's been taught to me. The Scorpio energy, it's transformation. It's the water sign. And I kept going into this. When I first got into tarot, I was like, what do you mean? And so my best friend was like, hey, he's like, you should really look at the zodiac to this. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, is there? And he's like, yeah. And I used to really use my pendulum for years. And that's what I talked to across the river, essentially. Like I learned about the river before I touched tarot. Like, how cool is that? And this frequency reset taught me so much more. And I really started to embody this and release it. And I named what was no longer serving me. And I was able to kind of resist those endings. And I was like, oh, what is this? And I was witnessing something before touching the tarot cards. That's what it was, is I was basically talking to this death card energy before I even touched the death card energy. See how I'm even stuttering? It was definitely there. And that stutter is not by mistake, so you know. It's basically about 90 degrees and the humidity is well over 100 today. We had like a tornado warning. So, but it's that, like, it's the respect I have for this energy, because I was talking to it with the pendulum. And as I was growing up, I had one grandmother would look at like the tea leaves. I had another grandmother, another family. They were getting into like Ouija boards. I'm telling you, both sides of my family, it was very interesting. They were talking to this energy. Just they would do different things. One would write letters, essentially. Another one would use the phone. I'm being facetious, but the endings were always beginnings, and they looked at that black armor and they knew it would never falter. But this was never carrying armor. It was that white rose. And that was the beginning of an ending, right? And that was a symbolic connection. That's what we were looking at. That's what we found throughout time. It doesn't matter which side of my family. And when I looked at my parents being married, it didn't make sense spiritually. But then when I came through as a soul through the portal, it's very interesting. And then having the childhood I had, it was this energy. There was something there. It's really it's a wonderful way to look at how our lives evolve. And many spiritualists have had childhoods that have been traumatic. True or not true? Hit me up in the comments. But it is that white rose. That is what it is. In the white horse. But that is how we can connect. That rose is the beauty that survives endings. And that's what it is. It's resilient beauty. And there in that what we have is we're able to kind of understand the endings. And we know it leads to renewal. Year after year, we resiliently come back and we say, you can't stop us. We're going to keep coming back and keep getting better. More resound every year. And it's not an ego. It's not a false sense of permanence. What it is it reminds us that we are change. We're inevitable change. And we surrender to bring relief in and of itself. And that's what makes this really fascinating. Is this card in and of itself lets us see all of these changes, all of these people sacrificing, even the tower moments that we know inevitably will be coming. And we're like, okay, let them come. I have learned that. The banner of the white rose that's concealed, all of that breaks down to something more. I know all of this gives us this connection. And then you respect the banner of the white rose. Those who have went through this. Think about anyone that has gone through this, right? That life force, the rebirth. Anyone of your friends who has gone through this traumatic life path. If you know they have been abused in some way, do you not put them in a special category? Like, knowing they have had that black background, their life has sprouted from what I would call the void, the negative energy. It's that secrecy. The true rebirth happened from silence, the thing they don't talk about. Am I right? Hit me up in comments, or even just if you want to quietly hit the thumbs up to let me know you know what I'm talking about. Because the fallen kings and queens, the ones who rise from the darkness, it's that child. If you look into the card itself, it's the child energy. It's let's void into that. Like, take a moment and just stare into the child. That innocence that greets change says, I welcomed something that was so dark at some time. At one point, it's come in, and it's the tower moments that come in the future that can never change you. I've seen something, or you've seen something, or we've seen something so dark that it could never change you. It's crazy. It's the bishop energy, right? That stands right there by the child. And even so, the dark energy comes stronger than the light. And that's the problem. It's the tower is mirroring the moon card energy. If you bring in the moon card, and that's what I always show people, when the moon card comes in, and even if it comes atop of this, and that's why I read multiple tarot decks, because I've respected this card, the death card, the dark energy. And what I learned about this dark energy is once you had that balance and duality, and you'll see what I'm talking about, it even hides within this card, those twin towers over there. Expect it, know it lives, and know it exists. Don't say no, I will never. No, acknowledge it exists, because when it shows up in other readings, it lets you transform and take that depth and power to become what you want, to become what you need to be. To say, everything else has to rise, everything else has to fall, but it's the change that it's through those crazy tower moments that you can basically now feel through the frequency resets. Death will allow you to feel those patterns because you're acknowledging it exists, saying, I know there's light, but there also has to be the dark. And once you release that and you say, I'm here, I'm not saying I owe you, but I'm not saying I'm not going to not witness you, because without witnessing, you know it's been there, and we're not giving any rituals to it. And that says, okay, I'm not asking for that. But if you know it has to be part of the endings, then you can be part of the great new beginnings for yourself, right? Because that what we said in the beginning is what the black armor doesn't falter. And once we go back to the white rose, it blooms what? In silence. And you're the white rose. It says that's what it wants. It needs you to bloom. It says, I need you to bloom in silence. Because it can't be dark and be the black without you being the white and the white. Have you not reconciled that yet? How wonderful is that? If this death in the tarot is mercy and not malice, then what is it else? Let me know. Drop in the comments what in your life is ready to end and you're willing to embrace to start something new. Hit the like, comments, and hit the subscribe. I'll see you soon, guys. Peace.